This week on ICN, the stories you should have heard, but didn't. 2 senators tried to undermine Ron Paul's Audit the Fed bill. Housing mess getting bigger, but so are bank profits. Governor Schwarzenegger signs new law to track ammunition sales. Those stories and more next on Informed Citizen News. Hello and welcome to ICN, Informed Citizen News, October 18th, 2009. In an attempt to undermine Ron Paul's Audit the Fed bill, 2 senators introduced a competing bill that will not require a full GAO audit of the Federal Reserve. This new bill, introduced by Senators Merkley of Oregon and Corker of Tennessee, will only allow an audit of the Fed's actions in the Troubled Asset Relief Program, TARP, and similar high-profile bailouts, but will not allow Congress to review the Fed's inflation of the money supply or its agreements with foreign central banks. Jesse Benton, Senior VP of Campaign for Liberty, said, "The Federal Reserve Accountability Act does not audit the monetary policy functions, which have been responsible for our deteriorating dollar and so many of our current economic problems. It is not an acceptable piece of legislation. Campaign for Liberty will continue to push a full audit of the Fed." Congress can push through $700 billion in stimulus within weeks, but takes more than a year to bring transparency to a vote. The U.S. dollar has held a 2/3 market share of global currencies, making it the reserve currency to the world. Over the last 3 months, there has been a staggering reversal, where banks put 63% of their new cash into euros and yen, not greenbacks. A nearly complete reversal of the dollar's one-time dominance for reserves. This, according to Barclays Capital. After printing up trillions of new dollars and new bonds to stimulate the U.S. economy, the Federal Reserve is devaluing the U.S. dollar. Economists believe the market rebellion against the dollar will spread until Fed Chairman Bernanke starts raising interest rates from around 0 to the high single digits and pulls back the flood of currency spewed from U.S. printing presses. Peter Schiff, the person who is predicting a 50% crash in the U.S. dollar, says, "Raising interest rates, that's a cure, but it's also going to stifle any U.S. economic growth. The economy is addicted to the cheap interest and liquidity." Schiff went on to say, Bernanke's other choice is to keep rates at 0, print even more money, and sell more debt, but we'll see triple-digit inflation that could collapse the economy as we know it. He concluded, "The stimulus is what's toxic. We're poisoning ourselves and the global economy with it." In a report released on Tuesday by Fitch, the rating agency estimated approximately 60% of the remaining performing borrowers who took their loans out in 2006 to 2007 are underwater. Some would say that is encouraging that 60% of those who borrowed money in 06 and 07 are still current with their payments. But if we get that second leg down, as so many insiders are expecting, then underwater performers could become non-performers very quickly. With the housing market on shaky ground, many are trying to keep up with their payments while their home value slowly drains. The question will be, where's the point of no return for borrowers? Experian Credit Agency released a report that showed increasingly homeowners with good credit and no late payments are making what appears to be a strategic decision to walk away when their home's value falls below what's owed. What is of particular note in the report? The better their credit rating, the more likely homeowners were to default. The trend is most pronounced where prices have fallen furthest, Florida and the West, especially California. The finding that 588,000 borrowers appear to have strategically defaulted in 2008, a 128% increase from the year before, surprising the researchers. Over 24 million credit files were analyzed for this report. The walkaway profile emerged where a person would pay all their bills consistently and on time until abruptly stopping mortgage payments, with no attempt to get current again, but keep current on other debts after defaulting on the mortgage. They kept up payments on home equity lines of credit, sometimes drawing out cash before defaulting on both the first mortgage and credit line. The report concluded this sophisticated combination of moves and timing suggests borrowers are employing foreclosure as a calculated financial strategy. RealtyTrack reported that from July through September,
Foreclosures increased over the previous quarter and are at an all-time record high. So how are Wall Street banks posting record profits? JP Morgan reported almost $3.6 billion in profit in the third quarter, a stunning 580% surge from the same quarter last year, cementing the perception that banks are leaving everyone behind and are emerging strong and healthy from the recession. Thanks to the cheap credit the Federal Reserve is flushing through the financial system, the major Wall Street banks are generating enormous bond trading profits. Look beyond Wall Street, however, and it's a different story. Unemployment is rising, incomes are under pressure, credit is tight, and Americans are still losing their homes in record numbers. As a result, the housing market, where the recession began, continues to inflict a heavy toll on banks. Banks, of course, are shelling out record bonuses to staff, but an ominous sign of things to come is that they are storing away cash reserves in expectation of massive loan losses over the next 3 years. As the U.S. economy gets hit by the worst slowdown since the Great Depression, many states are seeing no end in sight to their diving tax revenues. Tax revenues used to pay teachers and fuel police cars continue to trail even the most pessimistic expectations, despite the cash from the economic stimulus plan pouring into state coffers. Most states claim to have been pessimistic in forecasting their tax revenues for the 2010 fiscal year. So far, collections have fallen below even those low targets. Lower tax revenues could lead to higher taxes or another sharp reduction in services if receipts do not show signs of improvement before year-end. That could mean fewer teachers, early prisoner releases, and fewer highway repairs as residents battle soaring unemployment.
We have an update on our story from last week on the battle between Sheriff Joe Arpaio and Homeland Security. Janet Napolitano has stripped Sheriff Joe's deputies of their ICE credentials and the apparent authority to enforce immigration laws. Sheriff Joe vows to fight on. He primarily focuses on persons with fake Social Security numbers, which by itself is a felony in the state of Arizona. If the Social Security numbers are matched to someone other than the person holding the card, then it's identity theft as well.
A New York State Supreme Court judge issued a restraining order last Friday against the state from enforcing the controversial mandatory vaccination. The order came as the Public Employees Federation sued to reverse a policy requiring vaccination against the seasonal and swine flu viruses, arguing that State Health Commissioner Richard Daines overstepped his authority. A hearing is scheduled on the matter for October 30th. Last week, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger signed a bill into California law that will require people buying ammunition to provide a thumbprint, and dealers will have to keep records of sales. Starting in July, the law will require dealers to keep records of handgun ammunition sales for at least 5 years and store the bullets securely out of customers' reach. Like gun transactions, all ammunition sales will have to be face-to-face, a requirement that will force online buyers to arrange delivery of ammunition to a seller in California. As of February 2011, all ammunition buyers will have to provide a driver's license or other state identification and a thumbprint. In a few years, the government in California will not only know which guns you have, but how much ammo you purchase. Sounds like the right to keep and bear arms is being infringed in California. On a final note, the Business Insider had a good slide presentation on the top 10 countries most at risk of a financial meltdown. We've included a link in our video description section under more info. Thanks for joining us this week and for your continuing support. From all of us at Informed Citizen News, have a great week.